This is Jeremiah with The Life Chosen, and today my topic is manifestation made simple. Now, I'm going to put together some videos that give some real life examples of just crazy things that I've manifested. Some of them have been really big, some of them have been really small. But I think one of the things that seems to get lost in translation a lot of times when people start looking to manifest is they want to know that they can manifest. And in reality, the reality is that we all manifest. Everything that we see in our day-to-day life is some form of a manifestation. It's either something that we have specifically thought about just of our own accord. It's been something that's been influenced by our past, usually in childhood, or it's a combination or a mixture of things that we've thought about and have taken in from other people. So it's when you see people online talking about manifestation, they're giving their scenarios for what has worked for them. And I think sometimes if we limit ourselves to just one way, then we miss out on the bigger picture of manifestation, what it is and how we do it. When I look at my own life, I can just right now off the top of my head think of several different ways that I've manifested things that I've wanted. Sometimes it's been like a slow drip. It's been a process. Sometimes it's been a very quick process. Some things have happened for me in as little as 2 weeks, and some things have happened on the spot. So how do you take a desire, something you want, and create it in your 3D reality while still being able to let go and not needing to control every aspect of its manifestation? I think that's probably been my biggest challenge. And the reason why I want to do this series is because I hear a lot of people talking about things they've manifested, money or relationships. And I think oftentimes people are missing like a lot of examples of really cool things that we've manifested. I can give examples of really positive things, things that I wanted to manifest that I manifested. And I can also give examples of things that I've not really wanted to manifest, but it was a result of a program in my subconscious that kept replaying, and my conscious mind would pick up on that and would focus on it. And so there's a lot of varying degrees of manifestation, and I really cannot get behind this idea that there's one way that works for any particular individual, or that it's limited to only one way, because I think we're much more expansive as human beings and as beings in general than to limit it to one specific technique for manifesting. That said, to me, and this is my interpretation, my understanding, and it's also kind of the understanding that really helped me restore my health, manifestation is, to me, an impression on the subconscious that is outpictured in our 3D reality. It's the same thing as prayer, although prayer to me has a little bit of a religious, it doesn't have a little bit, it has a lot of a religious connotation to it. And the source of our energy and power is kind of outsourced in when I think of prayer. And that's not to say that I think prayer is ineffective. I absolutely think prayer is ineffective. And I really don't think it matters who you feel is invigorating or empowering your manifestations, as long as you know that it's possible. So when I look back at how I healed, I always had an inclination or just this deep desire and not necessarily understanding, but belief that I could heal. And a lot of people break down belief into something that's like pre-manifestation. And for me, it's, you know, I can see why people think that. I can see why people differentiate between belief and knowing. But to me, there is some overlap, at least in my life. That's the way I perceive it. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we cannot label and stick manifestation into one particular lane, because we all generally involve multiple techniques. And as I get along in the series, you'll understand what I'm saying more and more. But, generally I do think that a lot of times it is birthed out of a thought, and thought and feeling sometimes are very closely related. And in my mind, when the conscious mind, the mind that focuses, is focused on something that we have a subconscious desire or inclination for, and there's emotion attached to that, it seems to materialize with, I wouldn't say predictability, but it's a lot easier to believe. And to me, that's what faith is ultimately, is knowing the process, knowing that you are capable of manifesting something, and then basically just kind of working out how you do that. And I will give very specific examples of things that I've manifested. But to me, that's just a basic, simple, overall guide for what manifestation kind of is. It's something that we all do. And there is another kind of slice of that pie of manifestation that I want to discuss in this video very quickly. And it's this: if you manifest it, you won't be able to enjoy it. Sometimes that is the case, and I can look back at my own manifestations and I can see that I manifested things. Number one, I didn't even really understand that I had manifested some of these incidences because I was taught to believe heavily in God's will or coincidence, and that is very just kind of up in the air. And so I think, when I look back at some of the bigger manifestations, there were two kind of overreaching themes. And one was, I didn't realize I was manifesting anything. I was just being me, and I manifested what I was. In some of those instances, who I was lacking some things in my personal and emotional development that allowed me to be able to go beyond those dreams that had manifested and create something even maybe bigger or just a little bit more detailed and refined in regards to what I enjoyed. And then there's also, so that's kind of a not realizing that I'm manifesting what I'm, interested in. And then there were also some times where I did just clear cut, knew exactly what I wanted. And when I got very clear on that, it happened. Again, I wasn't necessarily worrying about it happening. I just knew what I wanted. And then there are some instances where I knew exactly what I wanted, and I was very clear very quickly, and I watched shit change on a dime. And let me tell you what, this is one of the things that I've talked to my buddy about recently, is I have manifested a lot of really cool shit in my life, and sometimes it is a little bit freaky when it happens. To me, that's my perception. It's a little bit beyond what I was taught is possible in Christianity, and which I had, just 40 years of my life basically devoted to some type of spiritual teaching related to the Bible. And so part of that teaching was that we don't manifest, that prayer is not always answered, and that the Spirit, as I was taught in Christianity, doesn't always move. Actually, I was taught that it doesn't move anymore, that we're in a time when it doesn't move. And to be quite honest with you, in that context, I believe they were 100% correct, but I don't think it was correct in the sense of what is possible, because my life, even in that context, had some pretty amazing manifestations. So I'm going to cut this video short, and I'm going to do another one right now on some things that I manifested, one in particular, and then I'm just going to kind of build on that. And what I'm wanting to do with this is just talk about things that happened, talk about how it came about, the kind of the series of events. Some people call it the bridge of events that happened. So there's this thought, there's this desire, and then there's this series of events that happens that leads to the fulfillment of, or the manifestation itself. So for me, I have very different scenarios and different situations of how that happened sometimes. And so I don't necessarily want to pick apart my own manifestations for you. I want to maybe kind of highlight some of the mindset that I had during these times, so that you can look back at your own life and pick out major things that you've manifested. And some of the things, like I said, have been really positive in my life, and then some of the things were a little bit more challenging. So I just mainly want to give people some real context of manifestation and how it happens and when it happens. And I also want to give some examples of things that I wanted to happen that didn't happen. And then maybe you can compare that with the things that did. Now, one thing I will say about manifestation is manifestation, a lot of people really have trouble suspending their logical and reasoning mind. I know I certainly did, but I got it out of the way. I learned to find the logic in manifestation, because I do believe there is logic involved. There are processes that correlate, and if you're a science person, you know correlation does not equal causation. Well, in manifestation, it sure the fuck does, and that had a positive impact on my health, and it ultimately restored my health. So not everything I was taught in school and in college is something that I still believe. That's not to say that I don't believe anything about science is true or real, but my experience with science is that there is a lot of belief involved in science. And I believe manifestation is definitely a part of that. And I believe my own health journey is a testament to that. And I actually know another gentleman who I met at a retreat. Let's see, it was 2 years ago now. And he had the same experience. He was a heart doctor. He's a heart doctor in Florida. And he was someone who had experienced a lot of trauma. He was from, I can't remember if it was from Pakistan or Iran. Actually, I believe it was Iran. And he came to the U.S. and it was a very traumatic experience that he had in his homeland. And it was a very traumatic situation moving to the U.S., having different religious beliefs, and then trying to assimilate into American society was very challenging. And all of that led to a lot of really severe health issues, mostly digestive, some autoimmune. But he basically went through a process similar to what I did and figured out how to work his body, how to work through his emotions, how to not only work through old, really heavy, dense emotions, but how to then foster new emotions, lighter emotions, and then how to understand when you have emotion, what you can do with that, and just kind of the understanding that you do have options with really, really intense emotions. So I'm going to cut this video short here, and I'm going to record another that's going to start kind of giving some really specific examples of things that I manifested and how those things came about. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. And yeah, I look forward to hearing some feedback.